Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we'd do something that I've never done, and that is give my favourite romance book recommendations. Now, I'm very much a romance beginner. I do not read a ton of romance. If you're looking for like a romance girly who like knows every single romance author out there, that is not me. However, I think because I only dipped my, I say I've only dipped my toe in the waters. I've read quite a lot of romance over the years, but not, it's not my main genre. But I would say I can give really good beginners romance recommendations. They're going to be kind of basic. They're going to be kind of basic romance recommendations, but I do believe that means I am uniquely qualified to give ones for people maybe who don't read a ton of romance. If you are looking to get more into romance, these are the recommendations I would give. We're gonna go through like all the stereotypical romance books I'd really recommend to begin with, and then we're gonna go into some books that aren't like the genre romance, but either I would class as romance or there's a romantic relationship in it that plays a big role in the book. So yeah, that's what we're doing today in honor of Valentine's Day, in honor of love.
I believe in love.
I have some like 5-star, as many of you all know, romance authors that I like love every single time. Before we get into it though, oh my god guys, I have to tell you, I am so obsessed. Wait, I have partnered with Wild for this video and I have to show you this new range from them. I am so obsessed. So the star of the show is the Love Potion scent in the deodorant. I cannot stop smelling this and using this. You guys don't understand. The obsession is outrageous. This is the new Love Potion scent, also in the new heart case, which how cute guys. And the Love Potion scent is a sweet blend of juicy strawberries, fresh cream and a hint of champagne. It's designed to keep you feeling fresh and confident all day with 24-hour protection and lasting effectiveness, guys. I am obsessed with it. I've been using this for maybe like a week. I can't stop using it. It smells, I love the smell of strawberries. It's so sweet. I love a sweet scent. Like I'm a very sweet scent kind of person, but it also feels sophisticated with that champagne in there. I love this so much. I love that they use natural ingredients and have, sustainability at the core of the business whilst also still being, I can't stop smelling it, so effective. They also, as part of the range, sent me the lip balms, which if you've been my patron on the last couple of live shows, you'll see I've been putting these lip balms on non-stop. I really love just the feel of the component and the feel of the lip balm. I literally this has been sitting on my desk and I've been using it non-stop. This Valentine's Day, it's important to celebrate love in all forms. Love with our loved ones, which, I mean, if you smell this good, everyone is going to love you. But also self-love, and smelling good like this gives you confidence to take on the day. So you guys can very excitingly use my code megwithbooks and that will get you 20% off everything from Wild for a limited time only. So make sure you check it out. Again, you can scan this QR code or go to the link in the description. Code megwithbooks, 20% off. I can't stop smelling this. Sometimes I just sit at my desk and just smell it. Like who sits at their desk and smells deodorant? Me. I do. It smells so good. So make sure you go check it out down below. Okay, let's get into recommendations. Like I said, we're going to start with the romance books. And we're going to start with what I call my big three. And they kind of are at the moment the big three of the genre. It tracks. My taste tracks, what can I say? I don't read a lot of romance, but I read the big three. Like in the Goodreads Awards, I'm pretty sure these are always kind of like the top 3 girlies. So let's start with my main gal. My main gal. Of course, it is Ali Hazelwood. I love her so much.
The mother. Not just mother, I might actually change it to the mother.
So I have read from Ali Hazelwood, The Love Hypothesis, 5 stars. Love on the Brain, 5 stars. Love Theoretically, 5 stars. Check and Mate, 5 stars. I have read Bride, I gave that 4 stars. I have not yet read Not in Love, and I have not read Deep End. So many of my patrons are reading Deep End, and I am foaming at the mouth, desperate to read that book. I love Ali. Ali is without a doubt my favourite romance author, and I think if you've never read romance, here's the thing, I think she can be hit or miss. I think you either love her writing style or don't enjoy it, but I would recommend picking up Ali, undoubtedly. If you have not yet read Ali Hazelwood, what are you doing? You're living under a rock. These are her 3 adult ones I've read, and then I did really love her YA. I thought it was very cute. It's like older YA. There's some stuff going on that I'm like, is that YA? But these 3 are like her STEMinist ones. I think she's kind of veering away from that a little bit now. But I cannot explain to you how much I love her. I'm not sure if my favourite is Love Theoretically or the OG, The Love Hypothesis, that introduced me to her. I'm not going to give synopses for these because they're basically sciencey people falling in love. That's all you need to know. But what I love about Ali and why I think you'll enjoy her, this is okay. Let me go through the big 3 and what I think you'll be looking for in them. What Ali does so well is her popcorny fanfic writing. I used to read quite a lot of fanfic when I was a child. You know, a bit of One Direction, a bit of Jonas Brothers, a bit of 5 Seconds of Summer, fanfiction on Tumblr. I used to read quite a bit of fanfiction, and Ali's writing is just that same, like, I don't know, it's just got similar vibes to it. I can't really explain it. It's just fun. The way that she writes, I just can't put it down. The way that her characters interact, I just think she's incredible. I think the way that she crafts characters is so good. And all of her books, the characters feel very unique and have different needs and have different desires and have different, you know, I think there's some romance authors out there that, like, it gets a bit repetitive, and you would think with them all being kind of, these first three at least, being very sciencey, they would feel similar, and in some ways they do, but the characters have different needs and they're always communicated and they're always, you know, achieved with each other very well. I think she just does fun romance the best. I love her.
A classic. Classic. Not debatable. Not up for debate.
I love Miss Ali. I can't tell you, my heart beats for her. I love her so much. So much. So, yes, I would really recommend this. Then we have to get into probably the biggest romance author. She does not need me to recommend her. I'm sure probably all of you have read her, but we have got Miss Emily Henry. I have read Happy Place by Emily Henry, which I gave a 4.5, Beach Read by Emily Henry, which I gave a 4, and Funny Story, which I have just read. You have not seen the vlog for this yet, so I'm not going to tell you my rating of this, but I did very much enjoy it. Here's the thing, Emily Henry, biggest romance author out there at the moment, right, without a shadow of a doubt. I prefer the lightness of Ali's books. What you're getting from Emily Henry is she does, all of her books have like a serious through line. Her characters are dealing with some trauma and they're gonna work through it.
Trauma, family trauma, generational trauma, family trauma.
You know, generational trauma.
Generational trauma. Generational trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma.
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 And I think she does do that very well. Now that is not necessarily the number one thing I'm going to for my personal romance. I'm more going for what Ali is going for. Also Ali, oh my god, Ali does Grump Sunshine so well, and I love Grump Sunshine. I'm so sorry, I've not had enough Grump Sunshine from Miss Emily Henry. Her men are always a bit too like sunshiny, and I want a bit of grump, you know. Sorry about it, but I love how Ali does it. Yeah, Emily Henry tackles other issues in her romance books incredibly well. You know, like I found reading Happy Place, as someone who's been in an 8-year relationship, the characters in this have been together for like 10 years or something, and then they break up. That is the most terrifying thing I can ever imagine. Like the idea of having, you know, this book is you're unpacking having to like rebuild your life without that person that you thought was always going to be in it, and how destabilizing that is. But they're still walking around in this world. Like, how do we become strangers all of a sudden? Like, isn't that crazy? I really do enjoy Miss Emily Henry, and you'll get to see my thoughts this weekend on Funny Story. It's the first book I read in the vlog, and maybe it's a very good start. I'll just say that. But yes, I think Emily Henry is the go-to if you want a little bit. Oh, they look so cute next to each other, don't they? If you want seriousness. And then the last of my big three is an author who I think kind of straddles a line in between both of those. Has some seriousness, but also has the lightness and also scienciness. For some reason, I really like sciencey romance of Ali Hazelwood, and that is Abby Jimenez. I have read Part of Your World and Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Again, it is a sin that I have not yet read Just for the Summer. It's really killing me inside. It's really emotionally damaging me. But I think Abby Jimenez does some of the best, like, I really felt these pairings, right? I felt their love for each other. Particularly, I think I prefer Yours Truly as a book, but the couple in Part of Your World, I think maybe because, like, the kind of dynamic of them is such a big part of the book, with him being a farm boy and her being a city girl, but, like, they really stick in my mind as a really powerful, like, I don't know, just their relationship was really beautiful, and the way they negotiated stuff for each other and the way that they, you know, found who they wanted to be for each other was really beautiful. I love Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is going to become a top favourite romance author for me. Again, if you've not read Abby Jimenez yet, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Her writing, I think, is wonderful. Her characters, I think, are wonderful. She feels like Ali to me. I think I love a lot of the same stuff in their books. Okay, that's my big three done. They're my big three girlies. I do want to give a shout out. This was one of my first romance. This is probably the first romance author I fell in love with, is Talia Hibbert with the Brown Sisters trilogy. Now, I didn't love her YA release that she came out with, and she hasn't come out with anything else in a while. So this is like a little bit more in the back of my brain. But I really enjoyed the Brown Sisters trilogy. This is a trilogy of three sisters each having their own romance book. And I think Taylor Hibbert tackles like identity stuff very well in her romances. I think one sister is chronically ill, one I think is autistic, or maybe the love interest is autistic. And I think she always handles that with such care and such nuance. I mean, this Get a Life Chloe Brown was probably one of the first romance books I ever read, and these two, I just fell in love with their dynamic. I really want Taylor Hibbert to come out with more adult contemporary romances. I feel like she's writing like a fantasy, which kind of scares me, but I do love this trilogy and wanted to give it a shout out because, again, I think it's super accessible. One of the first romance series I personally got into. And then if you're looking for a more literary romance, one of my favorites ever, this was a 5-star for me, is Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour. I love this book.
Try not to say Mother Challenge. Failed.
I love this book so much. This is a sapphic romance following two characters who meet and fall in love, but they are both not necessarily in the right space to be who each other needs, right? And it's a story of them negotiating that. It's a more literary romance, so it's not gonna have that kind of like formula that you can rely on with an Ali Hazelwood, with the Abby Jimenez, with the Emily Henry, where you know there's gonna be, you know, third act conflict, happily ever after, like, you know this doesn't follow that same pathway. But I thought this was a beautiful, beautiful love story of what it means to love. It's very short. I mean, like, look how huge the font is. Can you tell how humongous that font is? And it's only like 200 and something pages, but it's beautiful, it's dark, but it's light. They both have very interesting careers as well. One of them's a bartender and one of them is a florist. And I just thought, you know, they both, again, in this carry quite a lot of trauma, like an Emily Henry. If you've read an Emily Henry and you enjoyed Emily Henry and you're looking for a more literary romance, I think this would be your perfect next step up. I feel like it came out in 2022, and I feel like it just hasn't received I love Nina LaCour. I think Nina LaCour is one of my favourite authors. She's done more like magical realism-y stuff that I've loved, and I think she deserves all the love in the world. I thought this was beautiful. Again, there's certain books, I say this a lot, I love a book where it feels like a lot has been poured into it, and often they're long books, right? I speak a lot about this with fantasy, big fantasy tomes like R.F. Kuang or Catherine Arden, books that feel like they've had a lot poured into them. This is short, right? Less than 200 pages, and the font is huge. It's probably like a 6-7 hour audiobook, but this feels like a I don't know, but I just feel like Nina LaCour probably spent a long time writing this. I felt like this took a long time to come together. I feel like the ideas percolated. There's a depth, there's so many layers to the characters. I feel like sometimes you read books that have obviously just been written in like 7 months. Maybe even Ali has a bit of this, where it's like, you know, surface level. But this, it feels like there is so much to these characters, so much depth, so much nuance. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then my final, like, specifically romance genre recommendation, but these are interesting because they're graphic novels. Heartstopper. 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 Oh my god, I feel like now I don't need to, like, tell you to read this because everyone read this. Again, like, Emily Henry. I'm like, oh, go read Emily Henry. And Ali Hazelwood, everyone has. But this is just my favourite romance, guys. I love a bit of romance. I actually do love love. I love love. I'm a hopeless romantic in my personal life. Heartstopper. I love Heartstopper so much. It's Nick and Charlie meeting and falling in love. And I think, often now when I read, like, YA romance, I just find it a bit cringe.
It's the truth.
But I think as someone who fell in love with my significant other around very similar age to these two, at school, meeting at school, it just, like, captures those feelings so well. It captures, like, the nervousness and the, like, trying to figure out. I feel like there's a more, when you're young, like, more of a nervousness to figure out if someone likes you or not, whereas I feel like now people are often, like, meeting online, like on apps or whatever, so there's, like, you know, there's an attraction, or, like, you know, some semblance of attraction, but, like, when you see each other every day and you're like friends, you're like, oh, do they feel that way about me? I don't know. It just really brings back those feelings to me and that setting. And the, you know, topics that Alice Oseman covers in this series are wonderful. The way Nick and Charlie go together is wonderful. We only have got one more coming, guys. One more Nick and Charlie, one more Heartstopper, and I am terrified, but yeah, I absolutely adore Heartstopper. Okay, and then let's get into some recommendations that aren't like the modern romance genre but have a romance in them. Probably not what people think of when they think of like a romance, but this was the OG romance. Janie motherfucking Austen, baby.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
I was really upset. I forgot to show this beautiful edition when I mentioned Pride and Prejudice as my favourite book of last year. This was gifted to me and I can't tell you how much I adore it. It's got these beautiful illustrations throughout. It is so gorgeous. It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. It's, I love this. I love this edition of Pride and Prejudice. So I have read in modern times, I've read some other ones a few years ago, but like in terms of what's in my brain right now, Pride and Prejudice and Emma by Jane Austen. The way Janie writes a romance with all of the historical, I mean, if I'm talking about high school, you feeling nervous about if someone likes you or not, like the formalities and the way that people found out if they wanted to be together in this time is so interesting. Emma is funny. Emma's like a comedy. I think the highlight of Emma for me isn't the romance necessarily, it's more like the satire and like Emma as a character and the way she grows and the way she gossips and tries to like control people's lives in the start and the way that she grows from that. But for me, Pride and Prejudice, the reason I love Grump Sunshine, the progenitor, if you will, the OG, I adore Pride and Prejudice. I love Pride and Prejudice. I love it so much. You guys, I've spoken about Pride and Prejudice non-stop, but it is the greatest to ever have done it. Jane Austen, the way Lizzie and Mr. Darcy again grow throughout this book, the Pride and the Prejudice, the way that they figure out that they love each other, and I love it so. If you haven't read Pride and Prejudice yet, what are you doing? There's books on here. I mean, again, Janie does not need me to recommend her. She's got millions and millions and millions and millions of readers out there, but I can't wait to reread this one day. I don't know how long I can wait with this edition. It is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. I am so obsessed with it. Yeah, you must allow me to tell you how ardently I love and admire you. Makes me feel things. And then arguably quite a sad book, but I think such a beautiful book. And I was talking to my mum about this last night, trying to convince her to read it, and she doesn't want to read sad things at the moment. So all she basically reads is romance right now. My mum just is exclusively reading romance because she can't deal with like sad things or like, you know, murder or death happening in books. And I was trying to convince her to read this because yes, this is very sad. It's a very sad book, but I think it really, at the end of the day, is about how lucky we are to love, right? It's about how lucky we are to love each other and to feel love and to care for others and to experience that in our life. And it is Shark Heart, a love story by Emily Herbeck. I love this book. The hook, all you need to know, it is a husband and wife, a young husband and wife, find out the husband is slowly turning into a great white shark. And it's the story of them dealing with that, and then there's some other storylines further in, but you don't need to know about that. It is told through like super short chapters. Some are a couple pages, some are literally just a paragraph. I always say, I think this book has a wonderful rhythm to it, a wonderful cadence to it. I just love Emily Herbeck's writing. I cannot wait, I'm again foaming at the mouth to see what she writes next, because I think this was so beautiful, so beautiful. I felt like I was walking down this beautiful path with it. I don't know, I absolutely adore this book, and like I said, it's really about how lucky we are to love, right? Some of these other books are just like the lust and the, like, you know, the in the momentness of love, but this is a reflection on love, and I adore it. I can't tell you how wonderful I think this book is. I think it's so emotional, so heavy hitting, but so poignant. I would love to reread this. Maybe this needs to go on my reread list. At the moment, my top priorities are The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter series and Sadie by Courtney Summers, but maybe this I only read last year, but I already feel like it needs a reread because it is such a special book. So there we have it, friends. Those are my romance recommendations. Let me know which of these you've read. Obviously a lot of these are basic, but I think if you're a beginner, there'll be some of you here who have never read a romance book. I know for some of you that's a crazy thought, but there'll be, you know, I obviously read mostly like mystery or fantasy, and there'll be some of you here who've never dabbled in romance, and I think any of these, pick which one vibe-based you think you'd enjoy the most, but I think any of these would be a wonderful, wonderful place to start. Ali is obviously my girl. I love her till the day I die. Ali Hazelwood defender forever. But yes, let me know which of these you've loved. Let me know who your maybe big 3 romance authors are, because I do want to get into more. I want to expand, you know. Tally Hibbert probably is my 4th main romance, and I do actually, quick shout out, I have really enjoyed Crystal Maldonado's stuff. It's kind of, I didn't put it on the list because it's like half romance. I've read Fat Chance Charlie Vega and Books Are Falling Over, No Filter and Other Lies, and they're like YA contemporary romance. They're more about the character and what the character goes through and the character's journey, but they do have a bit of romance in them, and I really enjoy them. But other than that, I would say Talia Hibbert's my fourth, but I need a new adult romance from her to come out to like really solidify her, because I read The Brown Sisters so long ago that I feel like I need to like refresh the love, you know what I mean? But yes, let me know. Again, make sure you check out my offer down below to get 20% off everything on Wild's website. I am obsessed with the Love Potion scent. If you need a scent that makes you just feel like it feels spring-like, it feels confident, I love it so much. So check that out down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye!